What's up with action stars making generic comedies with children? Arnold Schwarzenegger made one, The Rock made two, John Cena is slowly making a name for himself in the acting world, and he just made one last year, and now Bautista has made one. In this film, JJ is an army veteran who now works as a covert CIA operative. But JJ isn't all that great at being undercover because, if you couldn't tell by his physique, he's more of an action-oriented, hands-on, shoot-'em-up kind of guy. And his latest mission proves to be his hardest one yet because he is sent to do a simple surveillance operation on a small family in Chicago, and he is discovered by a 9-year-old named Sophie. In exchange for not blowing his cover, JJ begrudgingly agrees to show Sophie how to become a spy. So yeah, whatever. This movie is predictable as hell. JJ is a hardened army vet who has become socially distant and unfamiliar with civilian life. So what do you think is going to happen in this movie? Yes, he learns how to open up and become more vulnerable. Shit, I think Spies in Disguise had a more complex and interesting premise. But to be fair, Bautista himself isn't all that bad. He's actually quite charming and sympathetic here. His portrayal of JJ isn't the problem, because Bautista brings a certain believability to that character. The issue is that the performance exists in an overly silly and cartoonish movie. Bautista has started to become a little one-note in Marvel's Guardians and Avengers films, but he clearly has enough range to pull off being a sweet and earnest guy despite his tough exterior. So My Spy does play to Bautista's strengths, but it still kind of feels like Bautista excels at being an effective supporting role. I'm not entirely sure if he was ready to carry an entire film on his back, or co-lead in a buddy comedy. I mean, he's good, he's getting there, but he's not quite there yet. And it doesn't help that the supporting cast in the film isn't all that great. The entire movie hangs on the relationship between JJ and Sophie, and though Bautista isn't that bad, I didn't really care for Chloe Coleman's performance. I know she's only a kid, and this is a kid's movie, but that doesn't change the fact that I could clearly feel Coleman's acting. But that's just me. I have a thing against kids. I can't help it if I found Sophie's character to be annoying and smug and unbelievably clever and arrogant and cold-hearted and unrealistic. But that may have more to do with the writing of Sophie's character, more so than Coleman's performance. But I mean, everyone's character in this film is paper thin. Parisa Fitz-Henley's character has a predictable arc, Ken Jeong's character has a predictable arc, and Kristen Schall's character has a predictable arc. Nothing unexpected ever happens in this movie. One could only hope that the chemistry between the cast members would elevate the material, but nope, that's not the case. Nobody has any chemistry with anybody. So most of the jokes in the film fall pretty flat. But I'm not sure why this movie had to be a straight up comedy to begin with. I think some fine tuning could have turned My Spy into a pretty effective dramedy. The most interesting aspect of the film, to me at least, was JJ's past. I was profoundly intrigued by his military background and how that caused him to become emotionally closed off, and that the only thing he cares for now is his pet fish. That's an interesting story right there, but the film does nothing with that information. But don't forget that this is an action comedy, so despite the fact that the narrative switches gears in the second act to become a romantic comedy for no reason, some nonsensically stupid action has to take place during the climax. But so much time is spent watching JJ and Sophie get into regular shenanigans that I forgot that the actual story revolved around stopping an illegal weapons trade involving plutonium and a nuclear bomb. The whole reason JJ is spying on Sophie's family is because her uncle-in-law is a terrorist. So the movie has some confusingly low stakes since the majority of the narrative focuses on JJ trying to get his groove back. And by the time the action storyline finally crosses over with the rom-com storyline, I was already checked out. I couldn't help but roll my eyes at how stupid certain aspects of the finale were. But the movie as a whole wasn't all that stupid. My Spy is just a totally regular, forgettable kind of film that one can have playing in the background while doing something else. It is a generic, formulaic, and predictable movie that is perfectly inoffensive. But it's also a middle-class film that totally would have tanked at the box office, and I'm sure that's the reason why the movie never got a theatrical release. But if you find yourself on Amazon looking for something to watch, and you want to see a new movie that's a little more engaging than just background noise, you have some better options with 7500 or even The Vast of Night. Because I would likely give My Spy 2 out of 5 stars. Thanks for watching.